Okay, so here we are back again, Rachel and Lianne, and we've decided that we're going to do some more conversations, but around the theme of Reiki, which is how Lianne and I met, because Lianne is my teacher, and we've known each other. I can't even remember how long it is. 15 years, 16 years, something like that.
More than that.
Maybe that. Yeah, probably is actually. So today we thought we'd talk about the Reiki principles. And for those of you who don't know the principles, I found my first ever Reiki manual.
Oh, wow.
I printed myself, what that I wrote. So this is the Japanese, in Japanese, and Lianne can say it in Japanese. I can't.
Well, I am sure I'm mispronouncing it, but I find it soothing to use it as a mantra.
Yeah.
So
I've got a CD with it on, which I'm sure that we can probably find a link to YouTube or something with the chanting, which is really nice, that we could put with the video.
should we have a go at it?
Yeah, okay.
Go on. Yeah. Okay. So the principles are simple, but they pack a punch, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So basically, in Japanese, kyo dake wa okoruna, chinpai suna, kansha shite, go hageme, hito ni kisetsu.
Yes.
So I say them because I find them quite soothing in a way. I just sort of lose myself in it, and I use it as a mantra. Because one of the things that I highly recommend for everyone is in the morning, when you wake up, we all have different rituals that we do. I tend to give myself Reiki and think about one of the principles. Usually be grateful for whatever you get today. It's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm concerned about what's coming. So I just, yeah. But the principles are fundamental to Reiki, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the foundation, isn't it? Because there's no point kind of giving yourself Reiki or doing it on other people if you're not living by these principles, because you're all over the place, basically, aren't you? Shall I say them in English? And then
Let's say them in English.
So, I mean, there's lots of different versions, but this is the simple version. So it's just for today. So, we're keeping everything in the day. Don't get angry. Don't worry. Be thankful. Work hard and be kind to others. And there are other versions that kind of say things like, show gratitude for all living things, and honor your parents and honor your teachers. But I think that simple version, it kind of packs a punch, and like you say, it's easy to remember. And I maybe we could just talk about our own experiences with the principles, because you were saying about using them first thing in the morning. I used to have them up on the wall when I first did my Reiki training, and I do them while I was brushing my teeth. And it's kind of how you incorporate these things into the day, and remembering. It's like retraining your brain, isn't it? Kind of remembering as you're about to start worrying, just go, why do I need to worry? Because and I know that from in the past, when I've worried about things, they've always turned out okay. So don't waste your energy worrying about things, which is easy to say, but putting it into practice isn't so easy.
And also, if you worry about something, you're giving it your energy.
Exactly. You're almost creating it, aren't you?
You're depleting yourself for something that may or may not happen.
Yeah.
So why worry? I that's one of the things I really, each one of us, I'm sure, have one or two that we resonate the most to. And for me, when I think about don't worry, I remember during my dark night of the soul, which is I was going through a nasty divorce and all that. And I worried about all kinds of things. What would I do? Where would my children, would I be able to support my children? Were they going to be growing up okay with just a single mom and all of that? And then everything turned out okay. But I had to learn.
Yeah.
That How about for you? How was Do Not Worry?
Yeah, it was a revelation, I think, to have that reminder. I think it, in the class we would talk about our experience with the principles, or we talk about, like share a little story like you've just shared, and kind of remembering, all the things that I've been so worried about and, wasted sleepless nights have all turned out okay. They've never been as bad as how I thought they would be in my head.
Exactly.
that fear, or, whatever it is. And I mean, recently, like last year when I had my operation, I mean, I've never had surgery. I've never had to go under for that long, all those kind of things that, I was anxious about, but I really used Reiki to help me, just there's no point in worrying. It's all out of my control. That's the other thing. It's like we don't really know the outcome of things, do we? We're not in control. And I was even having dreams where I was in a car, but no one was driving. So it was so out of control. Trust. And the opposite of worrying, or the opposite of that fear for me, was trusting. So I could send Reiki to the hospital. What could I do to help myself, to alleviate the worry? I could send Reiki ahead of me to the hospital. I can pray that I get the perfect surgeons for me. All those things that we can put into practice instead of worrying. It's like use that energy in a positive way. And another thing made me think of is someone said to me recently, where are you putting your energy where you could be using it for yourself?
Absolutely.
And I think we waste a lot of energy on anger and worry, don't we?
But I think the key of that is trust. Yeah. So basically, when it says do not worry, you can almost hear in the back of your mind the words trust.
Trust it's all going to be
okay. The universe has your back.
Yeah.
That it's going to, you don't know how, but it's going to end up being okay.
Yeah.
I found myself in the same situation, having to stop worrying, knowing that the principles are telling me, don't worry. But a part of me, sometimes there are people that we love and that we want to protect them, heal them, run to them, hug them, and we can't do it. Mm. And then worry kicks in. But if I was there, I could do it. And then you hear the voice in the back of your head, the Reiki voice saying, trust. Trust. And so then I had to say, so how do I trust? Well, I love angels. So my way of trusting is saying, angels, I can't do anything about it. So over to you. Yeah. And I find with that, I just passed it on and then, yes, that I can't do anything about it, but I'm doing something and I'm asking my angels to help this person in a way I can't do it. It's like that little saying, let go, let God, isn't it? Let go, let the angels deal with it. Whatever your thing is, it's like hand it over. Yeah. Yeah. And trust, absolute trust that whatever's happening for that person is for their highest good. We don't know what the bigger picture is for everybody. Exactly. Yeah. And it almost, thinking about it in that way, it's kind of getting the ego out of the way, isn't it? That ego that kind of wants to help, wants to change, wants to fix. It's kind of like, get your ego out of the way, trust. And again, another lesson of Reiki, let go of the ego. Yeah. So many people, when they try, they're sharing Reiki or things, forget, they get worried about, am I doing it right? And Reiki is not about you doing anything. You're just letting go. So park the ego aside, just put your heart in a generous, compassionate frame, and the rest of it will take care of itself. Yeah, absolutely. So that's another lesson of Reiki, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Just being that hollow vessel, yeah. The straw, but that we have to park the ego aside. That's it. Yeah. It doesn't work. And so when you get somebody, actually, we were talking about that the other day. When you get somebody who, when they're sharing Reiki or giving Reiki, they get into this, and I have a message for you, and I'm going to do this, and I'm not sure they understand the principles of Reiki, because the Reiki, when you are giving Reiki or you're sharing Reiki, the ego, it's not you. Yeah. And that's one of the lessons, isn't it? Is also any messages or things you may be seeing might be for you, not necessarily for the person you're working. So there's
it's about learning, you know, what energy is yours, what energy is theirs, and actually just keep your mouth shut and let it flow, and trust that they get what they need. And they might say, I felt this, I saw this.
Then that's okay. Then you can discuss it. But when you're giving, it's not about you, and it's not about what you saw or what you heard or whatever. It's about sharing love, sharing compassion, sharing healing. And you're just a straw so that they can draw what they need. So I think that is another really important, and it goes with the don't worry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shall we tackle anger?
Oh,
that one.
I don't think I've quite done that one yet. Certainly in my kind of the last few years of perimenopause, there's been a lot of anger.
I think with the anger, there's a bit of me that, and actually I'm just looking at my books. I resonate to women warriors, and I love all the, so the anger reminds me that it's poison. Anger is a poison. So if I get angry, I try to get rid of it as soon as possible, because I know it's going to hurt me. So I may be angry at a situation, I may be angry at something, but then I have to step back and remember, why am I angry? What is this triggering in me? It's not about what happened, it's what is it triggering in me? And I'm not going to take that poison. I may assertively say, this is not right. But then I have to step back, and these are the steps I may take to correct that thing that is wrong, but I'm not going to do it angrily.
Yeah.
Tough one, that one.
Yeah. I still lose my top now and again.
Well, I think we're human.
Yeah.
I think it's not about, we all have, it's just letting go of it.
Yeah, exactly. Not letting it fester in our bodies, not building up resentments. I think that's what, if unexpressed anger leads to resentment, but it's expressing it in the right way rather than blowing your top. Kind of, one of the things that I blow my top regularly about is the mess in my house. It's like, I like things tidy, especially if I've been away and I come home and, the washing up hasn't been done, or, that's when I'll kind of blow my top. And each time I kind of go, okay, so when I get home, it'd be really nice if the place is tidy. But I've also come to a place of acceptance that actually, while I'm away, they're all having a nice time and they're not thinking about the washing up.
Exactly.
Because we're all different. It's like, I like to get the washing up out of the way to have my fun, whereas they just go and have fun.
And also, if you look at the root cause of the anger, it may be because you think, oh, they're disrespecting me by leaving a mess. So it's you, not them. They weren't thinking about you. They were just having a great time. Yeah. But the way you interpret it is they're disrespecting me. They're expecting me to go and do all the cleaning up. Yeah. Well, that's not fair. I don't want to do that. Oh, I do that. Stephen loves to leave his spoons, his cups, and everything next to the dishwasher, not in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And so now I have been doing the same to him. I go and I put something next to it, and I go, oh, do you think the dishwashing fairy is coming today? And then we have a good laugh, and then we both start putting things back in. It works.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Make it a lighter situation.
Yeah, because it's no use. No.
And the opposite of that is you could be every day just feeling resentful that he's not putting his dish in the dishwasher. That's which festers inside us, and that isn't healthy for us. So yeah, I like to kind of just make light of the situation.
It's the best thing, and that way you laugh, he laughs, and we go, well, it's going to get done one way or the other. So we'll see who does it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's not like my favorite thing to do, to be cleaning. So It's not his either. Well, let's see.
Yeah. Someone's got to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. But remembering that anger is poison. Blow it up by all means if you have to, but then let it go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I do get angry once, a couple of times a year for whatever reason. And then I just think of, I get a stomach ache. It makes me sick. It's almost like my body knows what it is. So you get angry, oh, you're going to get a stomach ache. Oh, no, I don't want it. Thank you. And then I'm not angry anymore. So, yeah, but that's an important, they sound so simple, but they're so hard, aren't they?
They are. And there's many layers within each one, really, aren't there? Yeah. I mean, the being thankful one was also a bit of an eye-opener for me, because at the time when I started doing Reiki, I mean, I was in my early 30s, and I think, you know, I was in that victim place of like, life's really hard and I haven't got enough, you know, and why isn't it easier, and why, you know, why isn't someone helping me, and all that stuff. And actually it was such a revelation to kind of think, just having a roof over my head, having food in the fridge, you know, I have got more than, I don't know what the statistics are, but probably 2/3 of the world population.
The world. Yeah,
exactly. You know, look to even, you know, that in those days, being a single mum with, you know, 2 children, and you know, being on single parent benefits, I still had more than a lot of people in the world. You know, I had all my needs met. Which is all we need, isn't it? You know, if you've got food in the cupboards and you've got a roof over your head and you've got warmth, you know, there's our basic needs met. And I had good friends, and I had, you know, a beautiful community. So, you know, I think we take things for granted if we don't actually sit down and really make those lists and, you know, think about things every day. You know, if I meet someone and have a beautiful exchange, I'm kind of going, that's going on my gratitude list later.
I think I had a similar experience. And I must thank, again, part of being grateful is thanking all the people that help you. I must thank Louise Hay.
Yeah.
Her book fell right on my head. And I started reading, and she made a big emphasis about be grateful for what you have. And when all that worry or anger popped in, actually, as you said, I'm grateful. I have something to eat. I have a roof over my head. You know, things will take care of themselves. But I did do a lot of work with affirmations and singing the affirmation, writing the affirmation. That was very grateful for that. And another thing, if you believe in some of the past life issues and some of the things that we now understand, perhaps, if you think of the hero's journey, perhaps we chose to have this particular life so that we learn particular lessons. So all the difficult lessons were part of the lessons that we required.
Absolutely. And I would say the same, because with Louise Hay, I remember reading her in my late teens, early 20s, and coming across her saying, we choose our parents. And I was just like, why would I have chosen the parents I've got? But, you know, actually, I think it didn't take me that long to kind of realize that they taught me the most amazing lessons. You know, they've made me the person I am, as well as my own personality in there. But, you know, what I learned, they might have been hard lessons, but we grow through those hard lessons, don't we?
We do. I think that the hard lessons, sometimes they are like pressure on carbon to become a diamond. And I do remember throwing the book away. You know, the Louise Hay, I just read that bit about we choose our parents and we choose the difficult lessons in our lives. And I'm like, yeah, right, throw it. This is ridiculous. I'm not having that. And then, okay, and we have the book again. Let's have a look. okay. And it was, I think this, talking to my grown-up children now, they tell me that they thought that the cassette that you sent me, the Louise Hayes cassette that was playing I Love and Accept Myself and Choosing Love, Joy and Freedom and all of those beautiful things, they thought it was Gloria Estefan singing them. Because them all every day, and they can both sing it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I can remember even my son, who's now 29, kind of at 5 or 6, arguing with me about something, and I hate you, all that, and I would just go, well, you chose me. You chose this life. He'd be like, no, I didn't. I'm like, yes, you did.
Can I give you a book? Read all about it here.
But also, I mean, it also helps just accept things, doesn't it? You kind of go, okay, yeah, this is what I chose. These are the lessons that I chose to come in to learn. I chose my parents because of what they're teaching. It really helps you come to that place of trust and surrender and acceptance again, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
hopefully working through whatever it is you need to work through.
exactly.
Yeah.
And in a way, that being grateful even about the bad things is a very big lesson.
Yeah.
Particularly while we're going through them. Afterwards, we can look back and say, oh yeah, I got it now. But while we're going through them, you go, why me?
Yeah.
Too easy to fall into the victim role.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it helps when you say, that's the reason. Later on, you can say, oh yeah, I understand now why. But while you're going through it, you're going, why me?
Yeah.
But getting out of the why me is a big thing.
Yeah. Well, I had a lot of that come up in the last year with cancer. Why me? And then I just go, why not me? Why not me? It's like so many people have things to deal with. It's like, why not me? This one, because I can do it.
Or perhaps because you are a teacher of wisdom, and perhaps you can reach people while they're in the middle of what you felt. You understand them, and it's easier for them. Yeah. I think that's very important. Yeah. Because trying to reach someone when you haven't walked in their shoes is very difficult.
No.
So it's when you walk in their shoes that you can do the most.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone who has never experienced cold cannot describe it.
No, exactly. No. I mean, I'm just thinking about a friend. I remember a friend of mine going through grief when her father died, and you can try and support someone, but until you've actually been through grief yourself, I had no idea. I had no idea what she was going through at all.
It's true. It's true.
So yeah, it is, and I guess that's why we end up, as the wounded healers, kind of supporting people in the same themes of whatever our wounding was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always think of when I was growing up, I think when I was on the 5th grade, I picked up Chinese typhus of all things. If there's anything weird going around, yep, I'm in. So I picked up Chinese typhus, which basically meant I had to be in quarantine for 6 months.
Wow.
And so I ended up at my grandparents' house, just with my grandparents, so I wouldn't be contagious to my sisters and so on. And I couldn't go to school or anything. But that was the time in which I became acquainted with my grandfather's library. My grandfather had been a judge, and he retired, and I had him all to myself. And I had him and his amazing library, of which I could help myself to any books that that was heaven for me. But it's a bad thing. Okay, I had typhus. But at the same time, the typhus was nothing. Hey, all these books that I could read, how wonderful it was. And so I always think of it as the gratefulness part kicked in, because then I learned to love books. And I learned to love reading and learning.
Mm.
And I became acquainted with books that I wouldn't otherwise be reading. And to be honest, some of them went right over my head. Even though I read them, I didn't quite understand because I didn't have the experience.
Yeah.
So like Grapes of Wrath, I read it and it was interesting, but I couldn't quite empathize with the feelings. However, and I'll share this with you in case any of you have children, the original book of 1001 Tales with Sherazade and all of that, I grabbed it and I read it. I thought, oh, this should be interesting. Well, it's quite risque when you read it in the original, and there was some heavy duty stuff in there. And I'm reading it, and my grandparents, oh, how nice, she's reading it. And I'm going, I wonder if they've read it, because it had quite a few exciting, and I'm like, whoa. So being young like that, it was like, okay.
So you had your eyes opened.
Ooh, the things you find in book, give me more.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that you know, throughout that time of being ill and being in quarantine, you used it in a way that was productive and, you know, used it to learn, which is almost what's been happening in lockdown. I know so many people who've signed up for courses and, you know, or reading more than they've read before. They've had the time to kind of do that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, you know, I was also a child that just loved reading books, so I didn't mind being ill because it just meant I could be in bed and read.
And you are absolutely right on what you just said about using this time. That I think we have been given this time so that we can recapacitate, think about our life. What do we want? What's important to us?
Yeah.
Going to the shops is not that important on the great scheme of things.
No.
And I think many of us have. I think of Carlos Castaneda and recapitulating. You know, remember, it's one of the things that in his things is you have to go into a cave or in the earth and think about your whole life and try to put it into context. Hey, life has given us the time to recapitulate by the lockdown, and it's what we make of it.
Yeah. Well, I was just reading an Alberto Viroldo book. It's an old one, and he was talking about, you know, the dreamers that are dreaming the new future. And I was just like, that's another reason we've been given this time, so that we can actually dream into what kind of future do we really want? You know, how do we want to live our lives? You know, like you say, you know, all that kind of stuff that used to be exciting for people, going shopping and going to cafes and cinemas. It's kind of like, I mean, I never felt that anyway, which is why I live in the middle of nowhere, you know, where they don't have those things. But, you know, I kind of dropped that before we left the city, really. I was kind of, those things weren't holding that interest to me anymore. And I've just loved the spaciousness of this time to do healing and connect more with friends. And yeah,
I think that is what I've done, because it's too easy to get involved in a million other things.
Absolutely.
And well, you know me, I was always out and about and, you know, zooming here, zooming there. And now, in a place of peace, then I can reconnect with friends, have the time to say, right, today I'm going to talk to somebody and actually listen.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we talk to people, but we're not really listening. It's like, oh yeah, how are you doing? Oh yeah, I got a new whatever. And but you're not really listening. Sorry, my table is a bit wobbly today. So yeah. So, and that brings us on respecting everyone.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Or being kind to others, depending on the translation.
Yeah.
I think the being kind and respect goes together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you wouldn't disrespect someone by being kind. You couldn't possibly do. And I don't think it applies only to human beings. I think it applies to animals as well.
Yeah. Well, I think it's inclusive of, you know, the earth, all her beings,
All sentient beings, yes. Yes. And not taking, well, you know, I'm a vegan, and it's a choice that every person has to do for themselves, what they choose to eat, what is right for their bodies, and at what cost. I'll share something that it moved me very much last week. My granddaughter, who just turned 11, said, maybe I am going to become a veggie. Not because anybody's told me to do it, but because I choose to do it. I went, 11? Ooh, well, I said, I am so proud of you. And why? He says, I don't want to hurt any animals. Wow. And she's 11.
Yeah. Well, I think I was 11 when I went vegetarian, and we'd gone to stay on a farm, and I saw the lambs being packed to go to the slaughterhouse. And I don't think I'd ever thought about where my meat came from before. You know, obviously I knew cows and sheep and pigs, but to actually have it in my face. And of course, I'd spent all week petting those lambs and cuddling the lambs. And then, and that was it. I just was like, I'm not eating them anymore. And I never really liked it anyway. So, you know, it was almost like, even though I've got the blood type that is supposed to eat animal products, I was just been like, no. But like you say, I mean, I think it's part of everybody's journey. You know, I mean, I remember even before I started the Reiki training with you, I went and had a healing with a woman she was in Liverpool, and she just lived in a council flat, and she gave me the Reiki healing, which was really powerful, blew my mind. And she said to me afterwards that she was a vegetarian and that Jesus had told her to be vegetarian. And I walked out going, cuckoo, you know, it was like, but, you know, of course, Jesus loved everything, didn't he? And, you know, and there's all these pictures of him with the lambs, and, you know, I know that there's stories about the fishes and all of that kind of thing, but, you know, we all we're living in very different times. And at the moment, I just think we're saturated with food, aren't we? There's way too much food in the supermarkets. Our cupboards are bursting with food. You know, it's like I've just done a 2-week detox, and I know you've been doing some fasting as well, and you kind of realize that we just eat way too much, don't we?
We don't need it. Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also, if Jesus told her, great for her. You know, I remember that Buddha said that, you know, if you need me to come to you as a Buddha, I come as a Buddha. If you need me to come to you as a woman, I come as a woman. If you need me to come to you as an animal, I come as an animal. If I need to come to you as Jesus, Guan Yin, or whoever, you get the answer. You get what you need.
Yeah, I think for me at that point, I couldn't equate someone who was doing Reiki with someone who had a relationship with Jesus, because I suppose I'd been in that judgmental frame of mind that, oh, you know, that's Christian, and Christians don't do healing, don't do Reiki healing, and, you know, and it was kind of like,
actually,
get everything out of the box, stop putting things in boxes, you know. Like,
I think we've learned, haven't we? It's part of our learning to stop, actually, and actually that is part of the Reiki. Stop criticizing because it doesn't fit our mold. I think my sister and I have different political views. So what I have chosen to do is, let's not talk about politics. If you want to believe that, that's your path, believe it. But please don't mention to me, because we end up fighting and there's no need. No. You believe what you have to believe, I'll believe. But it's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still working on that one, I confess.
Yeah. I think, well, my mantra, I've said a lot recently for the last couple of years, actually, with situations like that, I just have to go, it's none of my business, or not my circus. You know, it's like everyone has the right to choose whatever they want to choose, and that's their business. You know, whether I think it's right for them or not, I only know what's right for me. So
exactly.
Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? Because I think, you know, when I was growing up, people didn't really talk about their politics. It was quite private. And now it's all over social media. You know, it's like we put our lives on we're doing it, aren't we? I suppose, but you know, it's like everything is put online, and it's kind of like, I just think I don't need to know. You know, it's like that's quite a private thing. It's none of my business. If you want to,
also, we didn't used to care. You know, whatever they voted for or whom, well, their thing.
Yeah.
Don't care what. But I think it's what I found in America was the division of almost polar extremes, and name tagging things incorrectly.
Yeah.
You know, like I think history has taught us many lessons, and there is a writer. His last name is Snyder. I'm trying to remember his first name. It'll come back to me. And he wrote a book called On Tyranny, which talks about the two tyrannies of the 20th century, which was the fascist on the right and the communists like Stalin sort of communism, and how much they had in common.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They're both extremes.
They're both extremes, and neither one of them are good for anybody. So it was interesting to me to read that, because neither extreme is good. No. The path of the middle way, but it does have a lot of and then I tried to share this book. I realized most people, in fact, most people, I thought it was amazing. I learned so much from that. It's a little book. Schneider, I'll remember the name. The book is called On Tyranny. I just thought it was the best thing ever. It was like a light bulb went up on top of my head when I read it. And I tried to pass it on. Oh my God. I've never got so much negativity ever from anyone. I gave it to one of my sisters. She said, yeah, I'm not going to read it. Put it, okay. The other sister insulted me and said, what are you being patronizing? And I go, okay, back off. We learn, and sometimes well-meaning, because what you want to do is share something that you found amazing. But what is amazing to you may not be so amazing to somebody else.
No, I've had that with books as well that I've lent to friends, and they've gone, no, didn't really do it for me. And I just think sometimes things like that just come into your life at the right time for you to read.
At the right time. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's about respecting everybody else.
Yeah.
Whatever they are.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going through them. Like, comes the hard one. Keep working hard on yourself.
Yeah. I kind of feel like that's what I was born to do. I feel like I've spent my whole life working on myself. Sometimes I just go, come on, give me a break. Can I have a few days off now?
You know what is amazing about that one? That's the one everybody forgets.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers the worry and the anger and be grateful and respect. And then, I forgot one. And you see people going, I forgot one. I know there's another one. Is work on yourself. And I think that's the bit that I think if you call yourself a Reiki practitioner, you have to practice it.
Well,
practice
it's
Reiki.
The word, isn't it? It's the word, practice, and that's the discipline. Whatever it is that your thing is, you have to practice it. So, yeah.
Exactly. But many don't. Many, you know, the typical standard is you do your Reiki 1 and 2 and you go, I've got it now. Okay, let's practice. You know, I am a Reiki practitioner, or they do the 3 and they do it over the weekend and they're all done. And, I'm a Reiki master. I master Reiki. And you go, if you really know what Reiki is, you don't master Reiki. You're in the path of learning. That's all. To me, that's what it means. The more you learn, the more you realize, I got a lot to learn.
Yeah. The more you learn, the more you realize you know nothing.
Exactly. Wise words, very wise words. Yeah. But and it is on creating something. It doesn't matter what it is, whether a person meditates or chants or you know, cuts the grass with intent. And how do you do it? How do you work on yourself? What is your favorite way of doing it?
I suppose it's changed over the years. So I would say before I had my second lot of children, I was doing a lot more meditation and yoga. You know, it was very much, I'd get up very early, do an hour's yoga, meditation, that kind of discipline. Since having Dorothy and Emrys, so Dorothy's 11, I got more into journaling because that felt a lot easier around the kids to kind of write down how I was feeling. I suppose I got a lot more into my feelings and processing in that way. Still meditating, but probably not for as long. Obviously, you know, always giving myself healing, giving myself Reiki. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I'm getting out in nature as much as possible. I feel really connected to source when I'm out in nature. You know, reading books. I always feel like there's always more to learn. I'm always inspired by, you know, sort of the self-help books, but also just like the, you know, the kind of mystical, you know, Lianne and I have quite similar taste in books, I think. Yeah, and just staying open to the magic of life, really, and whatever it's showing you. I mean, you know, even when I got ill, it was kind of like, okay, what is there to learn in this, you know? And it took me on such a deeper journey back into healing, you know, where almost like when I first learned Reiki, that excitement of kind of practicing it all the time, I had to go back to that place of like, right, I've got to immerse myself in this now again.
Exactly. I think that's absolutely true. For me, it's my daily routine is in the morning before I get out of bed. I have to make sure I give myself some Reiki, and then I send Reiki in general to anyone that I feel, which is really funny because then if somebody calls Steve and says, "Oh, she's still in bed," and you go, "Oh, what a lazy bum." But I spend hours by the time, like for example, sometimes in the middle of the night when I wake up, and I don't see any particular reason why I'm waking up. I guess what happens is it's almost like somebody's calling to send them Reiki. So I say, time for Reiki. So I send them Reiki. Then I chant. I love chanting a mantra. And so I, through my day, doing whatever it is, I may be cleaning the kitchen, but I'm chanting mantra because it just feels right. It's a happy thing for me.
It makes chores easier as well, doesn't it?
Yes, but or of course listening to podcasts from somebody who is a wisdom teacher.
Yeah.
And it comes and very eclectically. When you were saying we are eclectic readers. If it's got something written on it, we'll read it, and then we might not say not so good, but at least we read it. And sometimes you read a whole book and it's not so good, and at the end you find a couple of gems. And you go, wow, I found the treasure buried in the thing. So, yeah. And actually, lately, I have found that listening to friends is a great teachings. There's so much wisdom if you are really listening. I think that's the problem. Sometimes we just, la, 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 la. And then if you stop and you actually listen to what people are saying, so much wisdom there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember years ago, you know, kind of, we have these teachers that we put on pedestals, don't we? I think I went to see Neil Donald Walsh talking.
I remember.
And you know, he was doing a course and it was so expensive. And you know, I remember thinking, you know, maybe our teachers don't have to be gurus that charge loads of money. You know, maybe our teachers could be our children and our spouses and our friends. You know, maybe if we really, whatever we really need to learn, if our ears are open, you know, it comes. And I love that. Often when I'm talking to a friend, they just say the thing that I really needed to hear. They'll just, you know, one sentence will be like, oh my God, I didn't think of it that way, or, you know, whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember that you and I went a long time ago to a Doreen Virtue thing. And the two of us looked at each other and we said, oh boy. It was the same, wasn't it? We just went, we didn't even have to say a word. There was something definitely missing there.
Yeah.
But then I've had other opportunities though. There are some really good teachers. I'll use an example, Brian Weiss. I don't know if you ever had the opportunity.
I was listening to him last week, actually. Yeah.
Oh.
He's got some good YouTube videos.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I met him when he was just coming out as an author. I was at university in Miami, and he came to the university to talk to us. Such humility and such wisdom, and he's very soft-spoken. I was like, and he had to let go of his practice as a doctor and as a chief of I think of psychiatry because of his beliefs. What wisdom! Also, I find Denise Lin. Have you ever?
Yeah, I did her decluttering course not that long ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I've got loads of her meditations. She's great.
She's amazing. I went to one in which she did on past lives. That was amazing. I learned so much from that. So again, but I think one of the things is about when you see something that is a turning point, be prepared to make a move. And I think that's what this has done. It has stopped us. So then we can really choose what we want to do. And that's a turning point.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is, by the way, what we will be talking about on Friday when we do our meditation on Friday. I'm going to do a whole thing on what's a turning point from the spiritual point of view.
Yeah. And ultimately, the whole world's at a turning point at this point. You know, it's like we're all in the same situation. So choose wisely.
Exactly. And this, if you think about it, this is a turning point because we are turning from winter to spring.
Yeah.
It's a cyclical turning point. So it's an eon time. It is a cyclical point, but it's also a kairos point because we can choose wisely, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. Dream in that new future.
Yeah, and just to complete, just before the principles, there's a really interesting sentence that I thought I'd highlight, which is Dr. Usui's description of what Reiki is. I don't know if you recall that it's the art of inviting happiness and blessings into our life.
Yeah, that gives me goosebumps. I mean, that, you know, that's such a beautiful thing, isn't it? The art of inviting happiness, how to invite happiness into your life, live by these principles.
Exactly. And he did get it right on the money, wasn't he? He was just succinctly saying, follow these principles, and it is an art. And I think the key word is an art. Nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah.
You created your way, but it is the art of inviting happiness.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to finish.
Absolutely. It's perfect, isn't it?
Yes.
Hey,
thank
we
you.
did it. Yay.